Hello, good day friend. Today we'll talk on SQL Server on Azure. So I got the details from this book. So this is a free book. You can download and you can read it. I will add the link to the description box. SQL Server on Microsoft Azure comes with three flavors. The first one is Infrastructure as a Service option, that is SQL Server on Azure Virtual Machine. The second one is Platform as a Service option, that is Azure SQL Database. The last one is platform as a service, that is Azure SQL managed instance. So two platform as a service flavors and the one is your infrastructure as a service. So let us see the infrastructure as a service, what properties it has. This is similar to on-premise service, and here Microsoft manages the virtual machine and database administrator manages every aspect of SQL Server, which is not the case with platform as a service. So let us see this. For Azure SQL and Azure SQL Managed Instance, Microsoft manages underlying infrastructure and virtualization. That is okay for even for virtual machine also. Microsoft does the same. But along with that, Microsoft also takes care of database backup, high availability, security, etc. All these things. Okay. Database administrator focuses more on monitoring, capacity planning, tuning, etc. Okay. We'll see more in detail. So here is a comparison between who manages what. Database administrator manages, you can see here, capacity planning, migration, monitoring, performance tuning, database level configuration, database maintenance, fixing outages, database design, automation, cost optimization. Okay. And Microsoft manages hardware, data center virtualization, operating system, SQL installation, configuration, patches, backup and restore, high availability and disaster recovery, security scaling, auditing. Okay. Now Azure SQL Database, remember there are three flavors of SQL Server on Azure. The first one is infrastructure as a service, and there are two more flavors which both of which are platform as a service. This one was the first one, Azure SQL Database. The other one is Azure SQL Managed Instance. So Azure SQL Database, the first two, platform as a service or database as a service option. This is highly scalable, multi-tenant and highly available platform as a service or database as a service offering from Microsoft. It is compatible with SQL Server database level features. It is optimized for software as a service applications. It uses Transact SQL languages, can be connected from SQL Server Management Studio and SQL Server Data Studio. These softwares which are very sophisticated and can be used to access the database. Now let us see the Azure SQL Database architecture. So there are four layers. The first one is client layer, second one is service layer, third one is platform layer, fourth one is infrastructure layer. Okay. So let us see this picture where you can see the client layer has the client layer, and that is the ADO.NET, ODBC, SQL Server applications. Okay, they talk to service layer. Actually, they sends tabular data stream packets. This is a protocol which Microsoft SQL Server uses from applications to service layer. And then in service layer, the SQL Server provisioning, billing and metering, connection routing, all these things happens. Now after service layer, it goes to platform layer. So in the platform layer where your SQL Server and then SQL Azure Fabric, Management Service, all these things you will see in detail. So these components are there, and at the bottom you have the infrastructure layer, that is the physical servers. Okay. Now let us see them in detail. So you see the client layer. This is nothing but APIs to applications to access SQL database. It can be on-premise or on Azure. So tabular data stream is used to transfer data between Azure SQL and applications. .NET, ODBC, ADO.NET, Java, Python applications can connect. And then it comes the service layer. Acts as a gateway between client layer and platform layer. It takes care of provisioning of SQL database, user authentication, validation, firewall rule, denial of service attack. Okay. It takes care of billing and metering. It routes connection from client layer to the physical servers in platform layer. Okay. Then the platform layer consists of three components: physical server hosting SQL database in data centers. Okay. And then Azure Service Fabric. The purpose of Azure Service Fabric is to take care of load balancing, automatic failover, auto replication between physical servers. Management service, individual servers, health monitoring, and so each SQL server is stored on 3 physical servers. Okay, each SQL server replicated across 2 different physical servers to provide high availability. And then the infrastructure layer, that this takes care of physical server and OS. So here is a data flow diagram. So you see that an application can be in cloud or in on-premise servers. Now when you zoom in inside an application, we can see there can be multiple layers in an application, that you can have a front end business logic, and then your data access layer where your drivers are sitting, that is the client layer. And the client layer talks to the service layer via a tabular data string protocol. And this all these 3 layers are sitting in Azure for Azure Sql DB, Azure Managed Instance Database. Okay, now if I go to the, now when you see this diagram here, you can see that from application, tabular data stream packets are flowing to the service layer, that is the gateway service, and then it is reaches to the platform layer. And there are 3 nodes, the 2 replication node. Okay, now then so the steps are: the application sends tabular data stream packets to the SQL database. This TDS request reaches to service layer or gateway service, and then service layer or gateway service validates the login, firewall rules, denial of service attack check. Okay, the service layer then dynamically determines the physical server on which the SQL database is hosted, and then service layer routes the request to the physical server. Okay, now that's how it happens. Now let us see how we can create an Azure SQL database in Azure portal, and then we'll try to connect from Azure portal, and then we'll try also to connect it from SQL Server Management Studio. So let us see this in action. So I am here in Azure portal, so you can connect on all services, and then you can go to SQL databases. You click on this and you can click on add. Okay, so create SQL database. Okay, that we can do, or you can type here also SQL, and you will be seeing this SQL servers and all these things. If you click on Azure SQL databases, you will reach to the same place. Click on add, you will be reaching to this page. Okay, now here we have to fill up all these details. So I have to create a new resource group. Maybe I can do test1. Okay, and then give a database. We need to give a database name, so maybe db1. Now we need to select a server. If we already have a server, I don't have a server, so I would create one. So I can give it a name, server1, and then it's checking. So this actually, this is a global, this should be globally unique. Somebody has taken this, so maybe we can just for the time being make it some random number. And then login, maybe I can give you admin 1 2 3 4, and the validation passed, and it should be maybe hello @ 1 2 3 4. Yeah, it also passed. So okay, so this is my password. Now this is in EastUS. Click on OK, and I have created a server. So server is a container. Inside the server, I am placing one database. I can put multiple database. I'll come to Elastic Pool in the Elastic Pool section. So for the timing, let it be no. And also I'll come to this compute and storage. So for the timing, I would like to start with that the least one. I'll tell all this in detail. Next coming networking. So we'll talk on all this in detail. For the timing, let it be the default one. Security, not now. We don't need default and anything. Nothing. And then we'll do review and create. Here you can check the cost and then the terms, and then all the details, and then you can click on create, and it would validate, and then okay, so deployment is in progress, so let us wait. Okay, so it is done. Let me click on go to resource. So I am in the database. You see, then this is the resource group test1. The status is online, location is TOS. This is the subscription ID, and then the server name. This is the server name. I didn't configure any elastic pool. I'll come to details of elastic pool and later. Connection strings, you can, if you click on this, you will be able to see the connection strings, okay, for different drivers. Okay, now let me go back to overview. Pricing tier, right now it is basic. I'll come back to pricing tier, and here you can see the details, okay, regarding compute utilization. Okay, I'll come to all this. Now first what I would try to connect to now let us try to connect. So to connect, you can go to query editor, and then we have to give the details, and if I press OK, so you see it's not allowing my IP. Okay, so this is the first level of defense. So my IP should be added to this database or to the server. So let me click on OK, and see set server firewall. I can click on this, and here is add client IP. If I click on this, you see it is showing the client IP, and here is the details. Okay, you can add a range also, and then you click on save. So you have to click on add client IP, and you have to click on save, then only it will be saved, otherwise it will not be saved. Now I can close this. Now I can go to query editor preview, and now here if I type, click on OK. Sorry, I probably had made a mistake with that. Right, now if I click, try to expand the tables, I don't see any tables here, so we can create tables here. So we can do it from here. So I can type create table employee, okay, and then I should have two column. That should be identity, the seed, and the increment should be 1 okay. It should be primary key, and then we need another one, that is name, and then it should be var maybe 30, okay. And yeah, that was about this. So now if I run it, so it's done. Now if I can check the result, select start from employee, I can run it. So let's see the result. So there is nothing has been returned, so I can of course enter some value into it. So I can do insert into employee, okay, and then it should be only the name, and it should be values should be like, say, my name batch, and let me run it. Okay, so it is done. So if I click on add and select start from employee, and I can press run, and you see the result is being returned. Okay, so this is how you can connect to that one Azure SQL database using query editor. Now query editor is not that very sophisticated, okay. Let's try from SQL Server Management Studio, which is a very sophisticated client software. And also just one note, in from query editor you can export them as a JSON, CSV or XML. Okay, you can save the query and run it later also. Now let us go to SQL Server Management Studio. Now to connect to from a Management Studio, I need the server name. Okay. Okay. Now I can paste the server name, and then it should be admin 1 2 3 4, and then connected. Now if I expand the database, and you see the database is DB, and if I go to tables, this is taking time because it is connecting to Azure and fetching the data. And we can see employee table. I can take new query, and you see it is how much more sophisticated. You can see lot more options compared to query editor preview. Now I can type select start from employee and press F5, and we can see the sorry, it is by default it will select master database because my okay. Now let me click on execute, and we can see the data. Now I can insert one more, insert into employee new values. Okay, and I can do that. F5. So this is done. Now if I press F5, now we can see both the data. Now if I go to query editor, and again if I log in, and if I come here and if I type select start from employee, if I run it, we can see both the rows. So this is how you will be creating Azure SQL database, and you can connect from query editor as well as from SQL Server Management Studio. So next we will see how you can work with SQL Server managed instance. Okay, thank you for watching this.